Hi everyone, welcome back. It's post-Christmas and the holidays, maybe except for New Year's. And I'm back in the shop, and this week, it's still the season of giving. So if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe if you can. Go back through my back catalog. There's a lot of car related stuff. There's some road trips. There's a little bit of everything. If you're into cars, at least. This week, we're still working on the car, obviously. But since Christmas came and went, I've got a few more additions to the shop. Some I got for myself. Some other people were nice enough to give to me. And I'm going to show you all of them. Starting off with this. Here's a couple stanchions. Here's a couple bumper bars. These were made for me by a viewer and a friend, Pete Pollard of B&H Racing Chassis here in Connecticut. He does fantastic work. He says, hey man, let me do something for you. Those bumpers are horrific if you haven't seen them up close. I can't have you running that stuff. So he asked me for measurements and I gave them to him for front and rear bumpers, and he made them exactly, not like this, obviously, because this is my work with a bumper cover sitting over top of it. Here's a nice front bumper here. Here's a nice rear bumper here. I'm one-handed, sorry. But check it out. Made exactly to the lengths that I'd asked, and he gave me the little bumper stanchions to go with it. Obviously, I'm gonna do my own bumper stanchions for the back out of different size steel, but he made this for me. So I'm like, dude, I guess we're gonna cut this thing off. It just blows me away that since I started this channel, people want to become involved and help me out in pretty much any way possible, and it's just so kind, and I can't I can't appreciate it enough. You know, it's mind-boggling that people actually want to help me with the race car. It's so cool. And thanks again to Pete and his boys and everybody at B&H Racing Chassis. I'm going to run a sticker on the car this year. I'll put them on there for them. Now I'm going to show you what else I got for Christmas. We're going to start with this. My brother got me, if it would stay open, a bump steer gauge. So now I've got more tools to go along with my other setup tools to set the front end of the car up a little better. Now obviously I've used them before. I've had a set of bump steer gauges on the car and all these other specialty gauges to set the car up, but it's been a little while and I don't own those gauges, but now I do. So if that's one thing that owning a race car is gonna do, you're gonna have an awful lot of specialty tools to make your car go fast. And once you learn how to use them, they become invaluable in your shop. Even the basic stuff like scales and caster camber gauges mean a lot. So having this added to my collection of tools, go faster tools, I guess, really is gonna help a ton. Most of you who are familiar with my channel will recognize this old soldier. It is just my old Chicago Electric Harbor Freight MiG 170 wire feed welder, 2 switches and a rolling wheel. You can use gas or flux welding, and I used it for pretty much everything on this car except for the main chassis, because I didn't build that. I built everything else. Bumpers, tins, bodywork, redoing the clip, which was the last 5-part series that I did. And you would be, again, very familiar with this unit. However, the time has come for me to expand, and this just doesn't do it for me because it's a little bit inconsistent. I mean, it's only what? It's a welder for like $250 from Harbor Freight, depending on the sale. And you figure a really, really, really good welder would cost you north of 4 figures. Well, I upgraded, but I didn't go far because I bought this. Never mind the wheel of wire I bought, but I bought this. It's still from Harbor Freight, but I read the reviews and I said, hey, it's probably better than what I have. And I can make do with this. I can probably make do with this. Now, there's a bunch of functions on it that I'm going to use more than anything else. More than likely, basically just be a new MIG welder. But at least now I have the option to TIG weld, even just, you know, minor stuff, or stick weld, which I'm actually going to probably be using this weekend. And even more than that, aluminum weld, because I bought the optional spool gun. And I know you're all probably saying, well, you need different argon to do that. Yeah, I know. I understand that. I have a spare tank, and I have my regular, you know, 75-25. I'm just going to take that tank and just change it in for a full argon one so that I can do maybe a little bit of light TIG welding and aluminum welding. And then I can just use the big tank for all my MIG welding of mild steel, which is exactly what this car is made of. So now at least we have some work to do. We have bumpers to build. We have a body to put back on, because I have to kind of get the roof and all that stuff out of the trailer, because my wife needs the trailer for some storage, for temporary storage at least. And but now at least I got something to do. And I'll show you a couple other things that I have to fix as well. When I was working on getting the engine moved around and put in, I definitely bunged the fitting over here and knocked the end off of it. But it was kind of old and trashed anyway, so $10 on Amazon, I got a new one. And trust me, they work just fine. So first things first, we got to clean up the car because it's a table and it needs to be a car. I got to be able to put the roof on it. I need to have clear entry and exit ways. I got a bunch of boxes of stuff just everywhere. I got one there. Obviously, I got to unbox the welder and put that together. I got to find a place for the bump steer gauge. I'll probably put that together and just hang it up somewhere out of the way. I've got just stuff everywhere. And obviously, you don't need to watch me clean, because who the hell cares about watching a video with somebody cleaning? But after that, we're going to start hacking the front bumper off and seeing what we can do there. There you go. It's set up for MIG welding, which is pretty much all I do most of the time. I got the extra stuff sitting over here that I'm not ready to use yet. Like, I think this is the stick welding part. This is the TIG torch. Here's your spool gun. I'm not ready to use that stuff yet, but I figure I still have the magic tank that will not die. And I have bumper mounts I have to build back here. So why don't we test it out and see if it actually welds a little bit better than what I had. And I'm just going to use the factory settings to see how I can play with it and get it to work. And maybe I'll finally run that tank out. I should probably use something like this. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see if I can pop that off. All right. Wow. That's way better. All right. Wow. I already noticed a difference. I'm gonna keep going. Like, don't mind this top part because I'm not used to it, but the bottom part, it's like, it's way more consistent than what I'm used to. So it actually makes life a little bit easier. It welds really well. This thing has got a little bit more angle than what I'm used to. The handle is a little bit more ergonomic. It actually has post flow on the argon. So when you're done welding, it does, you know, Spray a little bit more on there just after you pull the trigger off, which is nice. I'm gonna keep going until this tank is empty, like I said, and I'll report back to you when I'm done about this welder. So far, so good though. I mean, this isn't the review for the welder. I can do that if you'd like, but for right now, I'm just kind of testing it out, and it's way better. I mean, I can show you comparisons as well too, because that'll make all the difference is the comparisons. Obviously with the other welder, the handle is a little bit straight instead of curved like this one, so it's not really as ergonomic, so I got to stop and start a lot. I mean, it does penetrate pretty well and you can get some decent welds out of it. I mean, I've welded like this for years and I've never had a failure. I've had, you know, plenty of bent bars because I've hit stuff, but I've never had a weld fail. They just look a little ugly. Here, it looks good and it's penetrating. So fingers crossed that this thing actually works pretty good. Like, I'm not used to using a good welder. I used to use my dad's Lincoln. That was only like a 125, so it was really tiny. This is a 200 and already better. So I'm gonna weld this up. I'm gonna get the other side. I'm gonna go until this tank's empty, then I'll swap tanks because that one still has air. And then we're gonna move to the front and start cutting stuff off. I know there's weld snobs out there and people who do all that stuff for a living, and I don't care what you think. These are nice. I'm sorry. I mean, look how consistent this thing is. Don't mind this little part here because I accidentally like slipped. But it's fine. What's wrong with it? I mean, it's a Harbor Freight welder that does that. And don't come at me in the comments and be like, it's not professional. I don't give a damn. It's the most consistent thing that I've had in this shop. Again, I've used much more expensive ones, and I get that, but come on. Come on. I mean, I've spent so long using, I won't call it bad. I mean, it works. It's okay equipment. But if you can do better, why not do better? And at least this machine's going to give me the opportunity to expand in the future, I suppose. You know, I want the ability to be able to weld aluminum. This does that. I want the ability to maybe start learning how to TIG weld. It does that too. So at least I can start trying different things. And if I really need to do super heavy duty stuff like stick weld, it does that too, apparently. So that's cool. Again, if you want me to do a review on that, comment below and I will do a review where I actually try like all the different features of it. Like, I'll try welding aluminum and I'll try TIG welding. I don't even know how to do it, but I'll try. I got a basic idea of how to do it, but I could try that. But for right now, I could stick weld too if you want. I could try that, but for right now, all the reviews that I've seen on this thing, not really as good, as informative as actually having it. Like, people have complained about the ground clamps, and this is largely similar to anything I've ever used. Like, this looks exactly like what you get from Lincoln. It's not that much different. And it looks exactly like what I got on my Prime Weld plasma torch. It's the same thing, you know. The handle, it's a little bit wonky. Like, just taking the tip off here, the little silver tip, it doesn't unscrew apparently. Apparently it's got some kind of friction fitting, so it's got some kind of ring in it, so you just kind of twist it. Like, you can only twist it one direction. Like, if you turn it one way, you'll just break it. But if you twist it like to the right, it'll actually just kind of slide off. So that I had to figure out. I should have read the book, but anyway, this thing welds way nicer than I expected. So it's going to be a good machine for me, and I'm not very good when it comes to clean tools. I try to keep them as clean as possible, and I forget to actually use them. So I get like super amped about stuff. Like I'm probably gonna put a blanket over it or something so it doesn't get dusty. But no, after every use, I'll probably take the air blower and clean it out. But anyway, we got to finish welding the bottoms of these. That'll be a true test of that, because usually I cannot weld underneath stuff because it just doesn't work. And then I'm going to move to the front and we're going to start cutting bumpers off. Now, as I am one of the laziest fabricators you'll ever meet, because I'm not a fabricator, I just own a race car, I don't really clean up a lot of what I cut off on a car. See, the front clip actually looks pretty good, nice and clean. What I do is, if I weld a pipe somewhere or a piece of round or square stock, I'm just going to cut it flush and then just butt my new piece up to that, because it's already pretty much flat. See, like here, it's got a little bit of weld left, but if you look down on it, it's flat instead of around the bar. Here I'll probably clean up a lot because this doesn't need to be here. I'll get this little welding slag off, but other than that, that pretty much paves the way for the new bumper. I don't really need the body on to put bumpers on, because what you do is you just center the bumper up and make sure it's level and make sure your ends are as level as they can be. I'm gonna get the stanchions put on, or at least after I clean it. And then I'll put the bumper stanchions in, which are underneath there. And then once I do that, I'm actually gonna shorten the bumper up a little bit, because these things, I usually have them pretty long. I'm gonna try to shorten the car up just a hair, because I wanna not only remove a little bit of weight, but make the car a little bit smaller, just to try to make it fit into tight places better. I don't know. I just don't want my car to look like a school bus, and I can actually walk around in the garage now. So doing a bumper is really not an easy job, because you gotta kind of hold it and use your magnetic level on the very end over there, kind of like this. I know it's hard to hold the camera and do this at the same time, but bear with me. See, I got this level, and I just kind of set it to pretty much level. So I gotta have about, 5 arms, 3 legs, and measure out your center mark on the chassis to this. Put it on there. Get it as, eyeball close as you can get. And basically you gotta try to grab your welder and tack weld it all at the same time. And let's see if I can see to tack it. That's pretty level. And if you screw it up, at least you can fix it. Don't just tack the top. Make sure you tack the bottom too, because it'll roll up. So we can see it's tacked in place. It's pretty level. Last thing I technically do is just kind of take a quick measurement just to see if we're pretty much inside. Oh yeah, it's like 12 inches on both sides. It's like as close to perfect as I can get it, just kind of eyeballing center to center. So now I just got to weld her in. every time I use this new welder. I don't care that it's Harbor Freight. It's still really good. I mean, I'm only a hobbyist. I'm not a professional, but I think it does just fine, especially for someone like me who tends to rush. But it's great. I mean, compared to what I had, it's so much better. You know, I didn't intend for this to be a welder review, but dang, it's better than what I had. The old one, you know, it's good for learning on, it really is, but when you've already done it a long time like I have, having something that actually welds properly is so nice. But anyway, we gotta get onto the back here. I'm gonna rip the back because if you're a watcher of my channel, I have the magic gas cylinder because it hasn't emptied itself yet. Look at this thing. It's still empty, but it's still making gas. Hang on. Uh-oh. Oh, as soon as I said that, I think we're boned. That was 20. And now I open it, and it's not 20 anymore. Oh, we might have finally emptied her. Rear bumper's in place for the most part. It says even and level side to side, front to back as I can get it. Stanchions are a little bit long, but that's okay because I still haven't quite figured out where I want to put it yet. So it's not really welded into place. I can just kind of, you know, put it wherever I want. If I want to shorten the car up a little bit, I can bring it here. If I want to put it back to where it was, I can put it to here. You know, I got it kind of somewhere in the middle right now, so at this point I just got to figure out where that is. I think for now I got to call it quits though for today because I got stuff to do. It's my brother's birthday. I got to go see him, and I took the day off tomorrow to do some more stuff, so I don't think I'm going to end the video here yet. I think I'll come back tomorrow and maybe have the roof back on it. So we might end off there because I got to get this video out. I want to keep in the algorithm for YouTube to try to get this thing, you know, growing and keep it growing. And maybe I'll start bolstering up the bumpers while I'm at it, but that'll have to wait for tomorrow or whenever I decide to end it. So at this point, you're gonna see basically the entire rebuild of this car. And hopefully I got something to do after that. So till tomorrow. All right, I'm back in the shop to finish out this video, and I think we're gonna finish it out by getting the roof back in here out of the trailer, but also probably finishing up the bumpers and the supports and such. And let me show you what I've already gotten started. Front bumpers were a little bit more than 90, so they were a little bit in that way. So I took a Porta Power and just kind of touched them out about that far, so they had a little bit of extra angle to them. I'm probably gonna put a side bolster bar back in from here to here on both sides, and I want to put something in the front to kind of bolster that up too, because I don't know, I'm very hard on front bumpers. Guys tend to, you know, bobble or stop in front of you for whatever reason. You run into them, you don't mean to, but it happens, so you got to be prepared for it. My old bumper had supports from there to there, there to there, and from the top to another centralized bumper bar here with all sorts of stanchions, and they had kickdowns like that. I don't think I'm going to go that drastic this time. I'd really rather have a little bit softer bumper to try to take a lot more of the impact and maybe not destroy my nose as bad or hurt the front clip if that comes to it. So what I'm thinking of doing is just going from here diagonally down to almost, leave a little gap like here, but like down like that and like that, and hopefully it doesn't like bend down, but I don't think it will. Again, I'll put another stanchion here to there. Back was more of the same story. You know, it was a little bit past 90, so I took my Porta Power and just kind of tweaked her out a little bit. Not quite sure if I want to put a little stanchion in here because I think that's how our clip bent the last time was because we had it built a little bit too strong. And if I put something in here, I want to put something very small. You know, I don't want to have it be too stiff. I also used to have another bumper bar, like a second one underneath it. I just want one, to heck with it. Again, I'm not sure if I want to put 1/2 inch or 3/4 square, something very thin wall gauge so that it gives if it gets hit too hard. So that's what's on the agenda for today. And then I'm in the process of cleaning this thing off and blowing it off with the blower. And hopefully we can have this cleaned off enough to get the roof out, bring that in and put that on, and start taking these old body braces and start sticking them in to hold the body up. So I'm walking around cleaning stuff up, and I look down and I'm like, well, I'm missing something here. Yeah, I forgot to patch the floor back up. Whoops, I guess that's got to be added to the list now. So it's a little later. I got her pretty much cleaned up. I even took a little bit of, I think it's Russian brake parts cleaner, and I hosed her down and wiped it off and blew it with the air gun. But here's where we're at now. I got the side stanchions in. I'm going to trim this afterwards. I got these posts up here where I don't know where this one went. It's probably back there somewhere. Whatever, I'll find it. I got these cut. You can see there, trimmed to fit down there in the middle. It's a little bit different design than what I'm used to. Sides are ready. Again, gonna trim that so that it doesn't get jammed into the front tire if I get hit. And we're ready to weld. So this is pretty much going to be it for the front bumper assembly. I made it a little weaker than I usually do. I put the diagonal pieces down from the top to the middle at least. I mean, it's probably not going to hold up to the rigors of what I do to stuff, but for now, it's in there, and it'll stop cars from completely jamming into my radiator. It might add a little bit of a uphill if I get underneath somebody, but whatever. It's only there to add a little strength. I need the car to bend more in the bumpers so that it doesn't hurt the chassis. Like I tell people, it's better to lose a set of tires if you're spinning out than try to save it and wreck the whole car. Well, it's better to beat the bumpers up than it is to wreck the chassis. So that's what we're doing. We're going to lose a little bit of weight up front because this thing is an absolute monster. And this is far cleaner than what I had in there. So there's a little bit of weight gone, which is good because I need to be able to move that around. I don't think I actually shortened it up any, but oh well. That means I probably don't have to touch this ugly thing. And I can just mount the nose back on her the way it came. I think I'll save putting the roof on for another time because we're going to start working on getting body parts and panels to try to get the body done, and I still got some reassembly to do. So to be completely honest with you, I think this wrapped up fabrication. I'm looking over the car and I don't see any parts where I need to fab anything else. I mean, yeah, I got to put these body brackets back on that I kind of saved from the last time I pulled this thing apart, but other than that, there's really no fabrication left. The main part, I think, is done. And that's a good feeling because now the easy stuff, I put that in air quotes, easy stuff is now coming. So that'll have to start a new video because I want to get this one done. I want to get this out to you guys. Y'all have been texting and messaging me to see where it is, and it's like, it's kind of Christmas, so yeah. Gonna be a little while because I'm doing stuff with family, as everybody else probably is. So yep, that'll do it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please
like I said, please, it's free. Subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe if you like race cars and cars in general, and maybe a couple mechanical things when I review this welder back here. Again, if you want to see me actually review it, please comment below if you'd like to see me do that, and I'll give it my best shot, even trying to do things that I've never done, like TIG weld and aluminum weld and stuff. But that'll require a couple of new cylinders of gas, because I got the spare out and this thing is running low. But anyway, thank you all again. If you could do those things for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. We're trying to grow this thing up as much as humanly possible, and I just want to race. I just want to race. I want to share my knowledge with people. I want to get them into racing too. So do that for me. It's free and it helps me a ton. So thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Until next time.